Hello, BookTube. I almost forgot the mail. I can't have that, can I? I don't want to get dozens of irate emails. So I've got a bit of mail here. I've got some packages, and also a great big heavy box that I'm kind of hoping that I know what's in it. It's been a while since I got any E. Tati volumes from Harvard University Press, and sometimes they come together. So I'm kind of hoping that I know what that is. But we'll save that for last. So let's see. Let's see what we have first. Oh, the first one is two. The first one is two. Okay, so this first one comes out in April from Gallic Books. This is Wild Dogs by Sergei Jonkor. Lose yourself in nature. Wild Dog is the name of it. It's a dual narrative. The novel is comprised of two side-by-side stories. Thanks. That's generally what a dual narrative is. About the inhabitants of an isolated house in the French countryside, 100 years apart. The novel alternates between one couple living in the house in 1914 at the outbreak of World War I, and the other is about a film industry couple in 2017 seeking to escape the stresses of modern life. Both couples find their fate entwined with wild animals hidden in the surrounding hills. In one there is a lion, and in the other there is a wild wolf dog looking for a new master. This is literary fiction with a strong environmental theme. It also has elements of a psychological thriller, and a reviewer in France called the book The New Shining. There is a good deal of suspense running through the story. Okay, who is the author? Sergei Jonkor is a French novelist and screenwriter. He was born in Paris in 1961 and studied philosophy at university before deciding to become a writer. And he's won awards. But Wild Dog is the first of his books to be translated into English. And it's translated here by Jane Aiken and Polly McIntosh. Okay, all right, so translated French fiction for the spring. Great. All right, what an interesting way to start. And then this is also from the same publisher, so it's probably going to be the same thing. The same kind of thing. Yeah, this comes out in June. And their advanced copies are similar in that the advanced copy doesn't have anything on it except the teaser. On the mountain, the only monsters are the ones you take with you. Unless the Bigfoot people are correct. The book is called 100 Million Years and a Day by Jean-Baptiste Andrea, and it's a novel that asks how far we should go in pursuit of our dreams. The story is about one man's obsession with a mythical dinosaur fossil that takes him and his team to the very edge of the world and to the edge of life itself. The novel has echoes of classic adventure fiction such as Moby Dick, true life accounts of adventurers pushing the limits of human endurance, and nature tales. Okay, and who is this author? This author is a director, screenwriter, and author born in 1971. He grew up in Cannes. His first novel, My Queen, was published in 2017 and won 12 literary prizes. Wow, okay. And this translation is by Sam Taylor. Okay, great. So translated fiction. Two bits of translated fiction. This one comes out as a paperback original in June. The other one comes out, I think, as a paperback original as well. In April. Yeah, these are both going to be paperback originals in April. Fairly attractive things, too. Okay, great. Translated fiction. Odd way to start a mail haul. All right, let's move on to this next one. What do we got here? Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. All right, this is from Pegasus Books. This is Otto Kraus, The Children's Block, a novel based on the true story of an Auschwitz survivor. This will mark a significant contribution, according to the pub sheet, this will mark a significant contribution to Holocaust literature as the number of survivors declines and increasingly urgent efforts must be made to record and preserve for future generations as many stories as possible. The author of this book was born in Prague. He and his family were deported in May of 1942 to Terezin, from there to Auschwitz, where he became one of the children's counselors on the Kinderblock. Their camp was liquidated after 6 months. The able-bodied inmates were selected by the notorious Dr. Mengele and sent to forced labor in Germany. The rest, more than 7,000 people, including mothers with young children, the weak, and the elderly, were killed in the gas chambers. Otto was among the 1,000 men sent to the concentration camp, to a concentration camp in Germany. After the war, he returned to Prague, where he learned that neither of his parents nor his brother had survived. He enrolled at the university to study literature, philosophy, English, and Spanish. He received a modest grant and started to rebuild his life. He met his wife by chance and remembered her as one of the youths in the Kinderblock at Auschwitz, and they became friends. They were married in 1947, and in 1949 they emigrated to Israel, where they lived at first on a kibbutz and later moved to a youth village where Otto taught English. And the author died in October of 2000 at home, surrounded by his family. And it is this same family who pushed for the posthumous worldwide English-language release of the children's block, Otto's novel, to date published only in Israel. Okay, all right, so this comes out in April. I know that there'll be many of my fellow critics who will say, this shouldn't happen at all. This is, you can't help but trivialize and gimmickize your experiences, and by extension the broader Holocaust experience, if you do this. I don't necessarily believe that. I have never yet read what I consider to be truly a successful Holocaust fiction, although I have read chunks of it embedded in books about other things. My question isn't so much that. It's, is this supposed to be critic-proof? The author's dead. He went through this horrifying experience, as did his wife. His family is pushing for this book, which was published in Israel, to be published in English. Well, what if it's bad? What if it has lots of flaws? What if it's amateurish or manipulative or shallow? Is a critic allowed to say that? I think my fellow critics who are sort of, pushing their hands against the tide for Holocaust fiction are barking up the wrong tree. That there's nothing that can stop that from happening. It's a part of history, so it will be a part of historical fiction. Has been innumerable times. My question is, can it be criticized? So we shall see. I will read this and find out. You'll be the first to know. So let's see. We're inching closer to the box with every one of these. Oh, great. Okay. Fantastic. This is another book that comes out on the 7th of January. This is the finished copy of Stephen Tompkins' The Journey to the Mayflower, which is all about just what you'd expect. 2020 brings readers the 400th anniversary of the sailing of the Mayflower, the ship that took the Pilgrim Fathers to the New World. It is a foundational event in American history, but it began as an English story, which pioneered the idea of religious freedom. And we've seen many books like this, including a big fat one from about 20 years ago that showed up on my history tour of my library. The illegal underground movement of Protestant separatists from Elizabeth I's Church of England is a story of subterfuge and danger, arrests and interrogations, prison and executions. It starts with Queen Mary's attempt to burn Protestantism out of England, which created a Protestant underground. Later, when Elizabeth's Protestant Reformation didn't go far enough, radicals recreated that underground, meeting illegally throughout England, facing prison and death for their crimes. They went into exile in the Netherlands, where they lived in poverty, and finally to the New World. And this is that story. And I have a feeling it's going to be winging its way to my history correspondent. I know some of you might be saying, do you really need a history correspondent, considering that all you read is history and all you review is history? Yeah, I do. I do, very much. There's always room to go around. Anyway, let's see what this next one is. What have we got here? Oh my. Okay, great. I requested this. This comes out in the spring, in May. This comes out in May. And this is by James Gardner, and it's a history of the Louvre. Look at that, the Louvre. This is from American art and literary critic James Gardner, which tells the story of the Louvre from its inception as a humble fortress to its transformation into the palatial residence of French kings, and then into the world's greatest art museum. Indeed. And of the treasures it contains. Remarkably, Gardner's is the first full-length history of the Louvre to be published in English. Some 9 million people from all over the world flock to the Louvre every year to enjoy its incomparable art collection. Few of them are aware of the remarkable history of that place and of the buildings themselves, a fascinating story that historian James Gardner elegantly chronicles in this definitive history of the iconic institution. Okay, all right, so this goes way back and tells every bit of the story. Okay, great, fantastic. Um, I suppose we have to grant that it's the greatest art museum in the world. I suppose. I have a partiality for the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum right here in Boston. But I suppose. I've been to the Louvre many times. I've been to it before it had this thing, this pyramid of glass. I've also had a couple of amazing experiences in the Louvre that are not typical. One involving the Mona Lisa. Someday on some 5-hour live stream, we will tell that story. Now we get to the box. A great big heavy thing. It's not oversized, but it's got weight to it. So I'm expecting that it is a number of hardcovers. Let's see here. Let's see. I don't have. My mail has been so well behaved lately that I don't have my scissors at hand. Hi, baby. Who's the baby? Ooh. Somebody's suddenly become interested. The book packages she doesn't so much care about, but a box might have something interesting in it. Baby can't read, so she doesn't find the rest of this interesting. Boy, oh boy, this is packed. In fact, this leads me to think this might not be from a publisher at all. No publishing intern is going to put this kind of effort into this thing. This is just packed. No, this can't be from a publisher. No way. There's no way. No book is worth this much. No book is worth this much effort. So let's see. Let's see what this is. It's probably from one of you. It's probably a gift. Okay. Let's see what we have here. Oh. You've got to be kidding me. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Is there a note in here? Maybe? No? There's no note. There's no note. Instead, there are 6 ingots of something more precious than gold. There are 6 boxes of fudge. 6 of these things. They're just packed in here like ingots of gold. Let me show you. Let me show you what this looks like. Because they're just packed in there. 6 of them. I have mentioned on this channel my quite literal sweet tooth for fudge. And I now have more fudge than I know what to do with. Incredible. Amazing. All right, well, there's no card. Did I destroy the mailing address? Crap, I did. I destroyed the mailing address. So I don't know who sent this, but whoever you are, you must be a fan of this channel, and I can't thank you enough. I have 6 ingots of fudge. Good Lord. This will take a while to go through. Amazing. What a gift. Okay, well, it sort of puts the rest of this to shame. The rest of these are just boring old books. So we'll do a Steve Pyramid, but after 6 boxes of fudge, who cares? So we have The Journey to the Mayflower. We have the Louvre, an advanced copy. We have the Children's Block by a posthumous publication in English, or maybe it was published in English in Israel, and then 2 translated French fiction. 2 pieces of translated French fiction. So an interesting mail haul, but the main thing is the fudge. So I'm going to go and partake, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.